Bam, look at this. Bam, look at that. Look at this pile of junk that came out of that car. The Thomas rocket car was very, very rusty, as you've seen. This is the wrap-up videos. Go back up here, bang, to the first video. You can see what it looks like coming off the trailer. But look at that pile of rusty junk on the ground that came out of this car. It's by far the worst car I've ever worked on. And since it's handmade, obviously there's no panels available, so as you've seen in the video series, all this had to be handmade with limited tools that I had here, just like Harbor Freight brake and an old bead roller. But we got it done with some help from my friends Tony and Chad, and Larry and Tom helped out here, and Jack Mulligan. So we got a lot of things done, but the car is finally done and it's on its way back to the body shop. Like we said, this car has got many features that were pretty much unheard of or hadn't gone into production when it was designed. This car was designed in 1935 as Charles Thomas was graduating from the General Motors Institute in Detroit. It was his thesis idea, and they're actually, I think they built the platform of this car and ran it with a canvas body to check it out, and then later put the steel body on the floor. But this is the one that he drove 96,000 miles. Him and his wife drove it up into the early 1950s. But the car was definitely ahead of its time. Four-wheel independent suspension, hydraulic brakes, dual master cylinder, hanging pedals, periscope on the roof, flush fit taillights, flush fuel door, use of early plastics in the taillights and the sun visors. Just a lot of cool features that you wouldn't see in cars for another 15 years beyond this time frame. No running boards, flush fenders. All the other cars of the period had fenders, bulged fenders, running boards. This car was sleek, full belly pan, full fender skirts. There's reports that this thing could cruise at 80 miles an hour and get 15 miles a gallon, which is a pretty good feat for a 1936 flathead V8, which powered this car. Pretty remarkable piece of engineering. I'm glad that we're able to save it. It'll be on display in Batavia, New York. So then in the back of the car, you'll remember, this is the gas tank. We built the entire trunk floor, the wheel wells, up in here around the structure, over the springs, the full belly pan, the tool tray. Now in here, the spare tire goes in here, and then the rubber floor covered plywood floor goes in here like this. So there's your trunk floor. The spare goes ahead of that. And then there's another piece here that hinges over the tool tray. So that's the back of the car. The bumper mounts to some brackets that bolt through the body for the rear bumper. These are the slotted tail lights, which were flush fit red plastic, which was unheard of in 1938. Everybody had standalone pods with glass lenses. These were red, like a cheap early acrylic flush fit, like modern days taillights. Very, very interesting. And the same material was used on the sun visors in the car. That's the rear of the car. In the front of the car, we've got the brand new subframe that was made in Batavia by a sheet metal company in Batavia. Did a real nice job. It incorporates the motor mounts here for the flathead and ties everything together. And I've talked in the first original video about the independent front suspension, but this has got swing arms mounted to the firewall on either side. And then the tie rod end here, you see there's dual tie rod ends, and the thing has a center steering link down in here under the torque tube, and it steers kind of like an 8-end tractor. You had hanging pedals from the firewall, which is almost unheard of in 1938. Dual master cylinders with a balance bar here, like a race car. And this lever here with this cable is the rear master cylinder, is this one here. This pulls from the inside of the dash and it puts on the rear brakes for a parking brake. And then you got your brake light switch here in the front master cylinder. But dual hydraulic systems in 1938 was pretty much unheard of. You had some GM cars had single systems, a lot of other people had single systems. Ford is still mechanical at that time. I believe these are GM master cylinders, probably from a 36 or 7 Buick or Pontiac, something like that. Yeah, they say Delco on them here. But very interesting. The firewall, all custom bead rolled, all made by hand. Your license plate hole for a wide 1935, 36, 37 style license plate. Modern plates would be too narrow to fit in this hole here. You got the cutouts and the fenders for the fog lights, and then the bumper holes aren't cut back in the fenders yet, but right here, and there's one on each side. The bumper comes through and hooks to the frame rails, and then the bumper goes there. Alright, thanks for watching the Thomas Rocket Car series. I'm going to try to follow along when it goes back to the body shop and get some updates, and we'll show you the finished product when it comes out. Hopefully it'll be the end of this year, but we'll see how it goes. It's going to take a while to do the body work and the interior and put it back together. So hopefully it's coming sooner rather than later, but I want to thank everybody who followed along for watching, and please come back to the channel here. I'm going to have tons of other videos, old cars, new cars, all kinds of nonsense, and it's always a pleasure to have people check my channel out here on the Quick Speed Shop. The spare mounted in the trunk where it goes, behind the wooden floor. Temporary bracket to hold it in there. That is the correct size wheel and tire. A wide 5 Ford 16x4 rim with a 616 tire on it. That's what this car had on it originally.